what Liverpool don't do is they don't sack managers easily. They're loyal to their managers, they're loyal to the players.
Is there more pressure on a Liverpool manager now compared to when you played?
There's pressure every day. Every single day you walk in that building at the AXA.
Hi, this is Aidan McGee from Clutch 9 Football, powered by Betway. Here we are today with Charlie Adam to reflect on his time at Liverpool and where Liverpool are today. Good to see you, Charlie. Welcome along.
Thank you.
It started to go wrong with Arne Slot probably beginning of last season, I would suggest. I mean, is that how you saw it? Where did you think it started to go wrong?
Well, I think ultimately when you go and you're the champions and you go and invest as heavily as you are, that adds a little bit of pressure. I don't think that the players that had been there in terms of the core of it had performed to a level to help these new players come in. It always takes time when new players come in. And again, it's not just Liverpool. Man City changed a lot of players last season as well. But Liverpool, the top players never played to the level or the consistency they had last year. There was inconsistency. I think they lost nearly 20 games, or they did lose 20 games last year, which is for Liverpool is an incredible stat. And it takes time to bed in these players, and the managers obviously found it tough. And what Liverpool don't do is they don't sack managers easily. It's one thing they do. They're loyal to their managers, they're loyal to the players, former players. And it must have been a tough decision for them to do it on the back of a tough season. And when you look back in terms of performances and results during the whole season, really, yeah, I was surprised because of the loyalty they normally show to managers, but not surprised in terms of if you dig deep in terms of the performances, the results. It wasn't a surprise to see them make a change.
I thought this was quite an interesting talking point. Is there more pressure on a Liverpool manager now compared to when you played? I mean, I suppose you could say back, 15 years ago, whatever, they hadn't won league title for so many years and there's pressure there, but now they have been successful. There's a pressure to maintain it, isn't there?
There's pressure every day. Every single day you walk in that building at the AXA, wearing that Liverpool shirt, that badge, there's pressure. So it doesn't matter if it was 15 years ago or today, there's pressure. There's pressure on Iraola now to become a manager that's going to be successful and win trophies, because that's what they demand. And finishing fifth, it's very difficult. You need to be competing on all fronts for every trophy. And that's now the demand of Iraola as the coach. I think now they go back to a little bit of a lesser sort of Jurgen Klopp way in terms of the high pressing, high speed running. He had that at Bournemouth. He'll bring that to Liverpool, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets the best out of this group of players, and ultimately what he adds to the group as well.
You mentioned Iraola then. I mean, what's it like as a Liverpool player when there's a managerial change? I mean, I suppose the dynamics changes to some degree, don't you? Because you're wondering whether that the previous manager fancied you, but you're not necessarily sure if the next one does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you go and ultimately a new manager comes in and he has a decision. He has what his squad, what his players look like, what he wants the team to look like. And you might not be part of that. And that's something that occurred really in terms of under Kenny, and then obviously Brendan come in. Brendan was a sort of young coach, a young manager relatively, coming from Swansea, coming into Liverpool, done a brilliant job at Swansea, and then come in and wanting to make a few changes, which is fine. That's part of football. Disappointed to leave Liverpool, but he had a way and he understood. He had a sort of an idea of what his Liverpool team wanted to look like, and for now it's probably for a lot of the players it'll be fresh. It'll be different ideas, different way of playing, and be interesting to see how these senior players that are around the club still, in terms of Alisson, Van Dijk, Gravenberch, McAllister, it's up to them now to try and mould it all back together and find a form and a rhythm for these players that are coming in, and ultimately lads who have been there last year will have definitely learned from the experiences that they've had.
Based on what you've seen of Bournemouth in the last 2 years, do you think it'll be a good fit style-wise for Iraola going into Anfield?
Yeah, I do. I think he's a top coach. I think his relationship with Richard Hughes made it probably easier to understand where they wanted to go and how they wanted to go. They obviously worked together at Bournemouth. He brought him in. He knows how he works. So again, that relationship between sporting director and manager is key in terms of on a day-to-day basis, and ultimately how he can help Iraola settle into Liverpool and understand the dynamics of the football club. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it works.
What do you think will be his biggest challenge in that first season? Because, you can talk about personnel, but to me, step up from Bournemouth to Liverpool pressure-wise, it's just doesn't bear thinking about.
But again, that's where you need your bosses to be supportive and understand that it's a big step up. Arne Slot was a big step up as well from his role into Liverpool. Liverpool's a massive football club, so for a lot of managers coming from former clubs, it's a huge step up. And he's been given the right to do that in terms of his performance with a Bournemouth team. Have been excellent, and to qualify for Europe as well was a massive achievement for them. So it's going to be a big ask and a big task for him, but he's capable of that with the right people around him to support him and guide him to understand what Liverpool Football Club's all about.
And what about pre-season? I mean, I look at the intensity that his teams play at. I mean, is it going to be difficult, do you think, to play it? Because the hard work's going to have to start really soon.
Yeah, and that's the thing that he has trying to get his ideas, his game model or the way they want to play will be tough because a lot of the players will be away for the World Cup. They'll be having a holiday, so they'll come back possibly maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the start of the season. So it'll be taking time to build that and get relationships and ultimately understand how he wants to play. He'll have a lot of young players within himself with pre-season, which is a good thing for these young players to get an opportunity to show in front of the manager. But for him to get his senior players back will be key, and ultimately he'll only have 2 or 3 weeks. But again, Man City have changed and they'll be the same. Chelsea have changed. So I look at Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal probably are the real stable one in terms of Mikel's still the manager, and he's obviously got that stability and he's been with the group for a long time. But you think about three out of 4 or 5 other top clubs in the country are changing manager this summer.
Clutch 9 is powered by our friends at Betway. Betway is your home for weekly free bets, free spins, and so much more. Don't miss out. Head to Betway today. Bet the responsible way.
How hard is pre-season, just in general, Charlie? I mean, I'm assuming for a player who hasn't been to a World Cup or a national, Euros or whatever, you got a little bit more time. You're probably in a bit earlier. How tough is that adjustment when you've been letting yourself go for a few weeks?
Yeah, but these players nowadays don't let themselves go. They might have 2 or 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week off, and then they start doing light things, maybe paddle, tennis, swimming, golf, to keep exercising, to keep their mind right as well. So, a lot of these guys now have their own sort of physios and sports scientists working with them and trying to keep them in the best shape. I've seen Harry Maguire talking about that. This is the first time in a long time he's had a 6-week break, which could be massive for him going back to Manchester United in the summer, not being to a major tournament. So, yeah, it's tough for these players that are coming back from major tournaments, absolutely, because they need the right break, they need the right rest, and ultimately the managers need them back as well to go and perform and compete at the highest level straight away in the Premier League. And it's just what these boys do in the off season. The days of going and drinking for 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 weeks after the season finished are long gone. I think the players look after themselves unbelievably well now, and it puts them in a better position coming back for pre-season.
Do you have any sort of memories or stories or fun times you had with likes of Gerrard, Carragher, any of those guys when you were there? Yeah,
just we used to have like sort of team nights out and different things and enjoy dinners and things like that. But it's there was just a real driven focus from these top players at the top clubs and in terms of what they were looking for, what they expected from each individual. So it was it was a joy to watch these top players in terms of going to major tournaments, coming back, how they looked, how they look after themselves was something, a learning curve for me as well.
What about transfers in terms of personnel, bringing players in over the summer? Yes, they want to bring in players. Recruitment is such an important part of the game these days. They've been linked with Yan Diomande. Do you think he's the kind of player they need? Would he fit alongside Ekitike?
Well, they need players. They need bodies. Ekitike obviously is out with Achilles injury, so he won't be back until probably later in the season. Isak needs to get up to speed, again, but we'll miss a pre-season, so it's how he comes back out this World Cup.
It's good for him, isn't it? This World Cup.
Yeah, but get some game time. Yeah. He's not played the season regular enough. Get some good game time. Maybe he'll come back, have a couple of weeks break, and then he's back at it. And maybe he could be sharper and fitter for next season as well, which could be good. They've lost Mo Salah, so they need to replace that on the right hand side, which they've done with Munoz from Osasuna. Need another midfielder for me, no doubt. Diomande is one that's got real talent, big price tag, but what Liverpool like to do is they like to get their business done early. They've lost the fullback and Andy Robertson. Still think they need another right back because Conor Bradley's been injured for a while, and for me, Frimpong is more of an attacking sort of fullback, so we need probably more of a natural fullback, and maybe Frimpong is more like a wing back. And in other positions, we still don't know what Alisson's going to do as the goalkeeper. There's been links with him in Juventus, so still a lot of different things, dynamics in terms of what Liverpool do. But I expect them to do some good business over the next sort of 6 to 8 weeks.
You mentioned Andy Robertson there. He's moving away, obviously, to Spurs. They're looking to change the culture there, aren't they, at Tottenham? Yeah. Bringing a more winning mentality. Do you think that strikes me as quite an important signing for them?
I think the business so far that Tottenham have done have been magnificent. I think Sensei from Bournemouth, I think Van Hecke, I think Robertson. It shows where they need to consolidate, and that's the defence. They shipped too many goals. That's why they nearly got relegated. Conceding too many goals. And now it's about a back four building and organising. I think De Zerbi's a top coach, so it'll be really interesting to how he gets the best out of them. I seen them last season at the back end of the season under lots of pressure away at Aston Villa, and they were magnificent. So you can see the ideas of how he's trying to tinker and get them better, and how they go try and improve different patterns, different rotations. Maddison obviously coming back from a big injury could be key for them as well. Missed him for a lot of the season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do in terms of the market. But they've done a lot of good business early, which is for Tottenham is not very often they do that. And I'm very happy in terms of the business they've done, and I think the manager is top class.
Who do you think will win the Premier League next year?
Well, sitting here, I think it's still difficult, and sort of want to sit on the fence a little bit because Chelsea obviously brought Xavi Alonso in again. They need a different type of player. I think they need a little bit more experience within the group, so that'd be interesting. But I still think it'll be between City and Arsenal. I think Liverpool will improve definitely, and I think they'll be closer to they too. But if I have to put my sort of hat on it, I think Arsenal are probably in the best place at the moment, just because of the stability of Mikel. But I do think Liverpool will definitely be closer than what they were last year.
Charlie, it's been great going back over your time with Liverpool, and indeed looking at where the club are today. So thanks very much indeed for joining us. This has been Aidan McGee for Clutch 9 Football, powered by Betway. Click like and subscribe for more football content.